Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it is upon us, the grand final of the Sandisk ShoutCraft Invitational II. TY taking on Solar in a best of 7 Terran versus Zerg. I'm looking forward to this one. This is going to be great.
Oh yeah, this is the match, man. Solar's played tons of it. I don't honestly know, and they're actually right now just to feel my curiosity. I'm gonna check TY's profile in Korean ladder. He's got 40 games played on this account. I haven't seen as much of his play or heard as much, I guess. Like, I got from players that were competing this tournament. Like, okay, Beyond's the guy that's probably played the most Legacy of the Void. TY is the one who made it here. I'm really interested to see if he's going to take a Heart of the Swarm approach against Solar, or if he's going to bust out, you know, some sick Legacy of the Void stuff that we haven't seen as much of so far.
It seems to me that...
Sorry, go ahead.
It seems to me that TY is kind of the most unknown quantity in this tournament, has been for a while, because he had a very quiet period of time where he could have very easily, and obviously was practicing Legacy of the Void, whereas a lot of the guys that were lined up for BlizzCon we pretty much knew were not.
For sure, and that should help him quite a bit. I also think that this series is gonna be the series where we're going to see some pretty dirty stuff. Like, a lot of these maps, they're very different. They're not your standard, let's say, Starcraft 2 competitive map. So I definitely think with $10,000 on the line, you know, these guys are gonna bring out whatever it takes to secure any sort of victory. And I think we're gonna see some very, very gnarly builds. But a lot of awesome games probably as well.
All I want is to see some crazy stuff, and I want TY to blow my mind. I'm ready. Teach me, senpai.
Well, hopefully he will be able to do just that as we head on to our first map here. Ladies and gentlemen, get hype. This is the grand finals of the Sandisk ShoutCraft Invitational II and to the northwest position here on Prion Terraces. In the blue trunks playing Zerg, Samsung Galaxy Solar versus his opponent to the southeast position in the red trunks playing Terran, KT Rolster TY.
How do you feel about this map as Terran, Nate? Because with that gold base, you know, being extremely easy to take. I mean, I guess it is pretty damn wide open.
I like this. I like this map. I like the setup of this map. Obviously, this is. I've been experimenting a lot more with aggressive play just because I think Reapers are broken. So I think this is a great map to Reaper cheese versus Zerg, like lots and lots of Reapers. I also found out some guy posted on All Things Terran that ramp at the bottom of the natural can actually be blocked with 2 barracks. So if you were to cheese a Zerg, you actually could just proxy 2 racks there, put a 3rd barracks outside or whatever. And then even if they get link speed, you actually can't run around to get the Reapers on the bottom. So
oh man,
it's pretty strong.
The beauty of a new map, away.
Yeah, man. If there's one thing us Terrans are good at, it's figuring out ways to make Zerg players hate themselves. And I'm sure it would work with the Pylon and a Forge as well, or maybe something similar.
I just want a few more the Muslim streams so I know where to build my bunkers.
Yeah, that's what we're all waiting for, isn't it?
So what do you reckon about the comparison between these two openings here? Did anybody get an edge?
So, I mean, just looking at it straight up, you know, that gas is pretty quick. Most Zergs have been opting for, like, 3 hatch styles, so I think this is Solar basically paying a little bit of respect to the fact that he knows that TY can do that thing most Korean Terrans do, where they just cheese the crap out of you. But since I think TY's opener is more standard, and Solar's cutting out potential economy by not going 3 hatch, I want to give just a very slight edge to TY, but I mean, I wouldn't say it's a big deal.
Nah, I think it's absolutely not a big deal just yet. Like, this seems like a very standard opening. I do agree with what you said about Solar not being like too greedy. It's game 1 of a best of 7. And it wouldn't be the first time that the Terran cheeses, so, you know, just be safe. And I also believe that Solar is very, very confident going into this series. And what a great way it would be for him to start his Legacy of the Void career, picking up $10,000 in one of the big first online tournaments. Like, you know, that's one way to make your mark on the scene.
Yeah, no doubt about that, and he's been doing so well in Legacy of the Void Beta. You know, the 2 Zerg names that always come up with Legacy of the Void Beta are him and True. And they've both been trading victories for the last 6 months in online cups, and Solar's proven that he is obviously of the level that he needs to be in order to be hyper-competitive in the early stages of Legacy of the Void. But for TY, this is a big deal because this would be his first singles championship in StarCraft 2.
And let's not forget that Solar has also won 2 DreamHacks in HOTS, you know. This is not a guy that was an unsuccessful Heart of the Swarm player and then just, it's like, well, you know, maybe Legacy comes out and then I can finally be successful. Like, no, this guy has been successful. Just
This guy just took over Stockholm. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's been good for a while, but the question is whether or not he'll be able to maintain that dominance in Legacy of the Void. I mean, this would be a great momentum starter for him one way or the other. All right, so TY with the bunker here, and we've got a Roach Warren coming down for Solar as well. Just a couple of early trades.
We saw the Ravager play out of Solar already in this tournament, and I would argue that it was very effective. It is very strong, and Solar seems to have a good grasp on how to really put the pressure on Terrans. I've had a lot of difficulty in my games playing against players that are really good with especially Roach Ravager compositions, so I'm curious to see how much Solar commits to the Roach Warren. And honestly, how TY is going to respond, because I do think that it can be tricky if your opponent knows how to properly zone you away.
A couple of Hellions are on the north side. This can actually be a little bit risky for Solar, because he didn't have any map vision on the north, and he just transferred a bunch of drones. So these drones are pretty exposed.
Yeah, we're going to see a little bit of damage done here. The question is how much. With double Queen, he's able to ward them away without too much damage, but there's already a medevac there for an evacuation and elevation up into the main.
Yeah, roaches are about to pop though, so I think Solar should be fine over here. Oh, well, don't line them up.
Yeah, he's going to lose a little bit of mining time, maybe a drone or two. 3 drones down and no losses on the Hellions, so TY just trying to keep his opponent honest at the moment.
Yeah, I like this a lot because this for TY, as long as he doesn't lose the Hellions, this is just a really great, hey, you're going to want to sit back home and defend for a little while, man. You can't just run across the map and attack me. As long as those Hellions are alive, there's a constant threat where Solar has to ask himself, how much damage am I going to take if I move out of my base?
Yeah, true enough. And in the meantime, by the way, a Banshee has been built and there's Cloak on the way here. So
great choice versus Roaches.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely the way to go here. And oh, out you go. There we go. TY just getting away there. And that Banshee is going to be very useful, no doubt. But look at this. Early Nidus Worm from Solar here.
Oh, man.
Oh, no, not this. Don't do it, Solar. Oh, man, I'm already
He doesn't have any Overlords. Imagine if he had an Overlord on the left side of the main base right now. Wouldn't that just be it?
I mean, he's got an Overseer that's headed to the left side of the main base. And
he's also got an
Overlord.
I mean, he's got an Overlord into the natural. Just bear in mind, of course, the Nidus Worm can't be killed while it's building anymore, so he could dump it right in front of that bunker if he felt like it.
He doesn't have enough Marines to actually deal with this, is the problem. Like, this this actually could just straight up kill him. In fact, it's probably going to, based on my my clinical expertise of losing ladder games as Terran.
Banshee's already on the way back here. Nidus Worm in the middle of the main base, and TY trying desperately to respond to that, trying to get a bunker up, bringing his Marines into play, but the Nidus is almost up, and here it is. We're going to see Roaches and Queens. Oh my! Lots and lots of Queens.
Make it stop!
It's too much, and TY just... Does he have the force to drive this back? I mean, he's lost a ton of workers already. No, he doesn't. GG! And Solar with the early Nidus victory.
Dirty, dirty, dirty. That's
that was filthy, filthy from Solar. I mean, hell, if you can get away with that, why not? You know, TY had gone super tech heavy. He'd gone harassment heavy. He was thinking, all right, we're going to get some Banshees, going to start building. Then suddenly, oh, well, I'm just going to Nidus into your main and kill you then. And you know, it works.
Yeah. It's the beauty as well of gold bases, I think, right? He's just going to have a few more Queens because they're only minerals. He's going to have a few more Roaches than he would normally have. And with that Neo Nidus network, you just drop it in the middle of all the production facilities. And from that point on, you only have one job, and that is just make sure you transfuse the hell out of your Nidus network. And as long as you do that, yeah, it seems unstoppable with builds like this. Like, very strong, very dirty.
The thing is, if you want to be able to kill that Nidus before the Queens are able to pop out and just start that endless transfuse chain, you need to actually open up with like a 2-base bio play so that you have enough Marines. But when you're playing around with 3 command centers and double engineering bay, and your Banshees are across the map, like, you're never going to have enough units at home to DPS that down. And I would argue that even if you don't rush out all that greed, you're still gonna have a hard time dealing with the Nidus Worm once it finishes.
So I think the double eBay wasn't necessarily for tech though. Don't you think it was more that he spotted the Roaches, and I think he was worried about the Roach Ravager straight up attack, and I think that's why he built the eBays there, because they were creating like a very tough to break wall for Roaches, so to speak.
Perhaps, but I also think with the units that he had out on the map, he should have considered that he never once saw any Roaches or Queens or... He never saw anything even move towards him. I'd also like to point out that if he was paying really close attention, he would have noticed that Solar wasn't even trying to spread creep past his gold base. Like, it seemed very clear, like looking back at it, that Solar was very determined to make this like the focal point of his strategy.
Do you think that the number of queens that he spotted was a little bit of a tell, or is that just like too inside the margin of error, really, to actually be an indicator?
No, I think having 1 queen per base and then 1 or 2 extra to spread creep is actually pretty normal. Like it's very easy to just look at that and be like, yeah, okay, a lot of Zerg players like to open up with an extra queen or 2. It's not something that's surprising unless you see like 3 queens per base, then you're like, why do you need this many?
Well, we're going to find out as to whether or not TY is going to eat that same strategy again, or whether he'll be able to come up with something, because I think it was caught off guard there. Solar versus TY. Solar currently leading 1-0, and the best of 7, $10,000 on the line for the winner here on Dusk Towers. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, to the south position in the Blue Trunks, playing Terran, KT Rolsters TY. Versus his opponent to the north position in the Red Trunks, currently leading 1 map in the best of 7, Samsung Galaxy Solar.
Such a great way for Solar to open up this best of 7 as well, you know, just a pretty straightforward Roach Queen Nidus. I think TY was doing everything he expected TY to do, and it just feels so great when, you know, when a plan comes together, so to speak. And I think he's full of confidence. I really think that Solar is unstoppable is a big word, but I really see him as a big favorite going into this series, because I think he just has so much momentum behind everything that he's currently doing.
I think one of the most interesting things that I'm going to keep my eyes open for is whether Solar is going to continue to use aggressive strategies like that, because he's done the Roach Ravager. Obviously, we just saw the Roach Nidus. I almost kind of want to see him do it again, because I feel like if you're TY, like the risk that you take in having a build that can defend against that, it's just, those builds are just generally so bad against anything that isn't Roach Nidus that you don't want to just blindly do it, right? So I feel like because of that, until we see a patch, you know, whether or not it's OP, like we're going to see a lot of those Roach Nidus plays coming up just because it's so difficult to deal with.
I'm not sure if John is still in TeamSpeak anymore.
No, I'm here. I just need to quickly pause the game, and I'm going to have to be right back. If you guys want to just keep talking, I'm just going to have to be quickly BRB.
All good, of course. Alrighty. So, Nate, let's talk about all the beautiful things in life.
It's just you and me, Kev.
It's football.
Moment in time.
It's football Sunday, Nate.
Well, I already had a chance to be disappointed by the Jets this week, so.
You were disappointed.
Well,
imagine how I felt, Nate.
I can't help that, Kev. You find ways to make yourself tied to teams without actually being emotionally invested in them.
All right, so stay with us, everyone, as we're just waiting for John to be RB. Hopefully it won't take too long, but I'm sure it won't. I'm excited for this finals. I think it's going to be really cool. And I do, by the way, totally agree with what you just said when it came to the Nidus plays. Like, if you do that twice, you put so much fear into your opponent that he's probably going to do some pretty awful builds all around. And then if you would just want to play for some Mutaling Bane, or, you know, just take anything from there, you can probably get away with ridiculous amounts of greed. As long as you have, like, maybe a Spine and a couple Banelings here and there. It's going to be so hard for your opponent to do something against it if he didn't go for one of these regular Terran openings.
Yeah, I think that most of the types of builds that you could tailor to defend against stuff like that are also ones where you cut so much to make it work that it only works against that build. You know, it's not a fun way to do it. It's like when you think your opponent's gonna go 2-base Muta and you like switch your Reactor and Tech Lab off your Banshees and start building Vikings and like rushing up to a Thor, but then they just go Roaches and you die. You know, it's like, well, yeah, it works against a specific situation and it's really good in that one scenario. But if they don't do exactly that, then you usually end up hating life. And I think Solar in this series, being the probably most experienced Legacy of the Void Zerg on the Korean tier of skill, is definitely super threatening, because he can also just, like, we could also see him this game just go back to playing like a normal Ling, Baneling, Mutalisk style, and if TY is not comfortable with Liberators, he could just get rocked in basically a regular straight up Heart of the Swarm style TVZ.
Yeah, like, I would say out of all the maps, this is a relatively normal map, right? Like, of course, the ramp into the third base is still kind of big, but there's nothing too crazy about this map. So if I'm Solar, I'd probably just play kind of normal over here. But as soon as you get on over, how was the map called again? The Overwatch map? Like, You know
Central Protocol, I think.
Yes, Central Protocol. If you end up on that, you can start really like switching it up, be weird again, and then Runes of Saras, which I think is just very hard to go up to 3 bases in general. Even though it's such a large map, you have to worry about run-bysing in natural. You basically have to create the Sim City of the century. You gotta build the New York skyline, man, to wall off freaking Runes of Sarans. You need like 17 buildings. It's insane.
Yeah, that's true. It's those maps are especially difficult. Actually, the first time I played this map, I was on like autopilot. I didn't even look in the corner of the map. I just went down this ramp and like built my command center on the low ground where the 3rd base technically is. And then I just like, man, why would they make it such an awful map? We have to wall so much to take your natural. Obviously, I realized as I was dying and tried to harass my opponent that there was in fact a base in the very corner.
I think it's always super fun when you enter a new lattice season and there are 6, 7 new maps, or in this case it's 4, I believe, brand new maps. And it's like the first few games you just do the worst stuff. In that map Urela or something, Orena, how's it called?
Arena, I think.
Arena, yes. I tried to go Nexus first against the Zerg, and my first pylon literally blocked my Nexus, and I'm just like, oh my god. But then I went impromptu cannon rush, and it worked. Yeah. Protoss.
Man, dirty Protoss. If only I could accidentally misplace my command center and just turn it into a PF on the other side of the map. That'd be fun.
Well, you can accidentally misplace it and just float it up, Nate. I think that was a very bad analogy.
Wow.
All right, we're back. We're all good to go.
Yep,
Esports.
we are here.
Awesome, great to hear. We spoke about everything and nothing. A little bit of football, a little bit of Starcraft.
That's what you want, really, for filler talk, isn't it?
Yeah, especially on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, those Reapers, and I'm just thinking about that TVT series again, man. They were the ones. That's what was football, right? Just trying to catch those grenades. But for TVZ, I love the Reaper openings. I think these are super good. Like, the thing is, in Heart of the Swarm, some players eventually kind of found ways to get around dealing with Reapers without having to get Zergling speed. And Legacy of the Void, because of the grenades, I think you can't open without... You might have to open with speed 100% of the time, or you just die to like 3 Reaper openings because the grenades are so good.
True enough. So far, so good for Solo, who's able to dodge out of the way. I think he kind of realizes, yeah, the grenade's going to be a risk. I'm going to have to make sure that I don't dodge into that. And there's a lot of mind games involved in that as well, because the grenade is being used, and down goes the Reaper, in many ways as a landmine as opposed to an actual grenade. So it's kind of like playing chicken with the Reaper. It's like, okay, can I force you this far back without you dropping the grenade or not?
You don't want to lose both of your Reapers over here, though. Speed is going to be ready within 10 seconds. I actually think if he just runs down right now, he should be... Yeah, I think he's going to be able to kill this Reaper as well if he wants to. Speed is done, and the Reaper is making his way over home. But there are no... What is this follow-up at TY? I won't say there's no Hellion yet, but... No, I guess he's just going to switch both buildings. No, he's going to make a tank.
Okay. Alright. That's an interesting
I'm
opening
okay
right
with
here.
this. Tank drops from the players that I've talked to, I don't think it's as strong 1v1 because it does take a lot of your attention and focus. Maybe TY is capable of doing that right now. But with that Roach Horn on the way, if you have a couple of tanks with drop and you have them sieged up defensively against, for example, a Nidus, it is one of the more effective ways to deal with it because you have 3 tanks shoot at once, that splash, you can actually burst down that Nidus, and really that's the most important part.
Yeah, let's not forget, in the previous game, he had a tank as well. He flew it across the map and he dropped the tank on the high ground of the main base, so it was shooting at the gold, which, was kind of cute, but obviously not as relevant when you have 15 roaches and 5 queens on top of your production.
Interesting little move there by TY. You notice as the Overlord comes in, he lifts up the factory to make it look like he's going for a swap on that tech lab, and then immediately dumps it right back down again as soon as the Overlord's there. So almost like faking out a Banshee switch, maybe?
Yeah, just messing with him, and I like it. Because look, we see +1 attack on the way for the Roaches. So this means we're definitely either going to see a heavy Roach Ravager push or another Roach Nidus play. And maybe the Roach Nidus play won't catch TY off guard, but, regardless, a Siege Tank drop is a very good way of dealing with Roaches and Ravagers in general.
A couple of shots go off, takes out a couple of drones without taking too much damage here. And as you noted, there are some annoying little positions that you can exploit here with that.
I think it's very unlikely he's going for Nidus this game though, because of the double Evo chamber. I think if you want to go for Nidus builds, you just kind of want to hit as quick and hard as possible when Terran barely has any units. And if you're researching 1-1, like look at that ramp. That ramp is also massive. You know, you're gonna need Bob the Builder to create a little bit of a SimCity for you over there to somehow ever have a wall off. So mass Roach 1-1 attack, you know, old school, or just Roach Ravager, I think it's going to be very hard to defend. Like 1 or 2 tanks is not going to do it. You need way more than that.
TY doing a reasonable amount of damage here with this tank drop. He's going to be eventually forced away, but he's killed, I believe, 5 workers with a total and a couple of lings as well. But there's a lot more drones coming up here for Solar, who right now doesn't really feel under threat, but perhaps he should. Like that big round of drones.
Ravagers.
Liberators
are on the way.
Liberated on the way as well, but if I'm Solar right now, I would make a lot of workers. I'm actually very surprised by this move out of TY. Guys, like, yeah, he's up 16 supply right now, but I think other than these 2 mores, he can't really hope to kill a whole lot more. Solar's supply block, that hurts him a tiny bit, but he's going to be able to produce an absolute ridiculous amount of roaches. And if he kills everything over here, he's going to try to counterattack and just win the game.
True enough, he needs to make sure he doesn't lose any of those tanks. Stim is not done yet. Combat Shield is about to kick in. But yeah, I think there's a little bit of pressure being put on here. But TY couldn't really evacuate fast enough with only 2 medevacs if he got into a lot of trouble. So this is risky.
TY actually doesn't have a third CC, which I didn't even realize. So he's extremely committed to this. But yeah, I think Solar has too much production, and I think he's too rich to ever die to this.
Yeah, I mean, these Marines fired a lot of stuff, but didn't really kill any of it, so that didn't get much done. It did force the Ravagers back, which allowed TY to maybe set up a Liberation Zone here and do some damage.
Liberators are pretty terrible in this phase of the game, I feel, because if you siege it up to Ravager shots, it does only just take a few. It's pretty easy to kill Liberators with Ravagers.
Oh my god, look at the supplies, man. TY, like, I'm not sure what he's supposed to do.
I don't know.
You can't go back, you're on 2 bases, but at the same time, look at the amount of units that Solar already has.
TY is building... Oh, and down goes a Liberator.
And that's why, man.
That's the
Ravagers
problem.
are good versus Liberators. Siege pushes, and he's just going to kind of break out.
Liberator's gone, and there's not enough Marines to hold this back. Solar's just going to roll right over this.
It's a Le Massacre.
I would say that that is exactly what it is, and TY is being forced back with half the army supply of his opponent and falling rapidly. This was a miscalculation from TY, no doubt, and Solar is making him pay for it.
Yeah, not sure what he's hoping for. GG called. Solar.
Apparently not much at this point.
2-0 lead. Yeah.
I mean, I certainly hope we don't have a whitewash here, but I mean, Solar's looking really strong.
Maybe he's hoping just to face like standard Ling Muda Bane or something, and he kind of felt that with a push like this, first the tank could slow it all down, and then, you know, the Marines will keep the tanks alive and make it very hard for Mudas to be effective. I don't think he expected to face just this amount of units this quickly. And let's not forget, Solar was even supply block for a bit. If he wasn't, I think he would have just smashed it down immediately, but he was never really in any danger of losing that. With 62 workers, you can just create an insane amount of roaches and Ravagers.
Yeah, that was, I really think that's a textbook example of just the different compositions that you're going to see in Legacy of the Void. Like, this is just, maybe this is a composition that absolutely Shreks a Heart of the Swarm style Zerg player who likes to play with a lot of Lings and some Banelings, maybe some Muta Rush. But Roach Ravager, those armies are big, they're bulky, they push each other apart so they don't clump up as much. That makes the tanks less useful. The Ravager shots can abuse the unsiege time of the Liberators. So you have a composition that can actually handle these sort of sieges very nicely. And I think it's a prime example of why you don't do what TY just did.
Yeah. Yeah, Liberator is not the answer to Ravager. That is abundantly obvious from just watching that. Unless you can somehow fake them out. But even then, like, it's just not possible. They used to be okay.
Yeah, for sure. I just think playing against that style that Solar was going for, I don't think TY ever scouted the both Evos, by the way. So I don't think he ever saw the Roach one move either. He probably knew there was a Roach one, but it's very standard to have a couple safety Roaches, right? I just did not think he expected to play against Master Roach, because Solar was actually the one who planned on attacking, right? He stopped at like 60 drones, then you just can make an insane amount of Roaches, go for it, 1-1, and see how much damage you can do on the other side of the map. And then suddenly, probably midway through producing all his Roaches, he's like, lol, this guy's actually attacking me? Well, thank you, you know, let's fight on my side of the map. Let's fight with a couple extra Roaches. He just had the time of his life, and I don't think Solar was worried 1 second about losing that game.
Yeah, just I mean, Solar just really seems to have such a good grip on his builds. Like, I don't know what TY is gonna do. This is a map that gets pretty big. If this is cross spawns, and attacking Solar gets even more difficult. I'm just excited to see what he does because he's been mixing it up. And you know, this is, if you're a Zerg player playing Legacy of the Void, this is the guy to watch.
Yep, no real doubt about that. Welcome to Runes of Ceres, ladies and gentlemen, and let's see whether or not Samsung Solar can put another one in the bag. He is in the blue trunks, and he is playing Zerg to the west versus his opponent to the southwest position, currently trailing 2 maps to 0. Really needs to start his comeback right now. In the red trunks, playing Terran, KT Rolster, TY.
Well, at least it is vertical spawning position, so I think that's something that TY could work with. What's the type of opening you hope he's going to go for, Nate? Maybe just a couple 4 to 6 Hellions, try to be annoying, because obviously these wide open ramps are pretty good for Hellions as well, and you kind of force out a pretty big defensive reaction from the Zerg, correct?
Yeah, I agree. I think this is these spawns are phenomenal for any type of Banshee play as well, just because you have that close distance. Also makes siege tank drops good. This is definitely a spawn that TY should be happy with. On the same hand though, this rush distance being shorter means that if Solar wants to get aggressive with Roaches and Ravagers, he doesn't have to defend like he did last game. He could build up that army, make a big push, and it'd be pretty difficult for TY to handle.
What about a bunch of Hellions, couple Hellbats, and a Banshee?
I can dig it. I'm okay with that. And here we actually see, by the way, this is kind of what I was mentioning. The last 2 games, Solar was, he's picked very respectful builds where he kind of like took middle of the road, but we've seen a lot of this out of the Zergs so far in this tournament. And honestly, it's been mostly unpunished because of the way that the economy works. It's been very hard to cheese. So Solar, he cranks the economy back up for this game and already puts himself in a nice spot again.
Well, don't worry about it, John. Take your time. We're still time.
I just sit down trying to think of ways to ask you questions like I would if I was tasting some of our Toastus Roddy. So you've been playing any games that aren't Starcraft recently?
Yeah, actually, Nate, for the first time in 5 or 6 years, I have been playing a lot of Overwatch, mate. The world needs heroes.
Wow. Wow, I haven't even gotten in yet, man. I'm jelly.
Well, I got this woman who is invited into the beta.
Nice.
I'm not, but she is. So every now and then, she goes to make some coffee, and then I take over and I show the world my magnificent tracer. By the way, I bought those 2 posters right at the BlizzCon. You remember? Did I show them to you? The ones I got at BlizzCon?
Yeah. You got the Overwatch posters.
Yeah, no, I got one Overwatch and one Starcraft poster, and I both brought them to a framing store, so they're now like fast framed in a glass and like a little curving around it or a frame. It looks really good. It's so awesome. The only problem is like my wall is pure concrete and I have no idea how to hang them, but it's super awesome. I'll show you a picture later. They're really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I have to still get some of my stuff framed from BlizzCon. Have you been playing any of the co-op missions in Legacy of the Void, by the way, yet?
No, like I'm waiting for Tracy to get a home, so she has her own PC. I kind of want to do them with her because I think I will enjoy them a lot. Like I think they're very fun, but it will be fun to play with her because she's gonna arrest me to play Archon all the time.
It's pretty fun to play them on like it's fun to play them on the higher difficulties. I think I've had even after just when I'm like done laddering, I'll just randomly queue up with like a random person to play co-op missions with because I do think they're actually pretty good. They're super random and stuff.
You can queue them up as well.
Yeah, you could just queue them up and it'll just match you with a random person to play with that has the same search parameters as you.
Wow, hashtag the dream. That's actually super fun. I will definitely play it a lot in the future. Like I looked at them and they looked super fun. So, but I mean, like you've been playing a lot of Legacy over the last few months, and I haven't really, because I was mostly playing HOTS, and just focusing on HOTS for BlizzCon and stuff. So ladder is actually super, super, super fun for me because everything just feels so new and so fresh, and just trying to get a little better with that. But I'll start messing around with co-op soon, Nate. Don't you worry.
All right, Kev, what I'm really just trying to ask you is to just play co-op with me.
I would love to. I would love to
play
play
games together.
I would love to play cheeky co-op with you, Nate. Don't you worry.
Yeah, it's as for me, it's been one of the more fun things just because it's just a great chill way. One thing I don't like about the co-op right now is that even on brutal settings, it runs on faster instead of fastest or whatever, or maybe in SC2 engine.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's. That is frustrating because everything just takes forever to do. Like, it doesn't feel that slow, but I'm just like, man, if this was on faster setting, it'd be awesome.
So let me get this straight. You're inviting me over to play co-op and chill?
Yes, Kev. Co-op and chill, and then maybe get some wings after.
I love it. I love it. Can't wait. Of course, I want to give a big shout out to all the viewers so far that made this tournament an awesome success. We've been having a lot of fun. But of course, no audience, no game, no esports. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. I know a couple of you have been waking up at the same time as Nate and I. So we're living on the West Coast, and our alarm clocks go around 4:30 a.m. for this tournament. There's another tournament later today that we'll be casting too, which is an Arc mode tournament. That should be quite fun. It's maybe the start of a busy couple of years. I like it.
That's the dream, man. Just be busy, saving esports every day. Like this tournament. This has been pretty awesome. I'm kind of hoping that TY does something a little bit inspirational, because I really feel like it was inspiring to watch Bjorn play, because I just loved his build orders that he busted out. Even if TY was able to outplay him at the end of the day in the semis yesterday, I still really impressed with the builds. TY hasn't quite impressed me like that yet, but Solar definitely has, and I think that's been cool. Hi, John.
Alrighty, all good. I totally agree with you, of course, Nate.
Yeah, very sorry for all of this. Turns out there are side effects to the stuff I just went through, and it kind of sucks, but doing my best. My apologies, guys. Alright, we are back into the game. So, what was your conclusion going forward here?
First of all, absolutely don't worry about it, John. We love everything you do, and we love that you're even doing this despite everything that is going on, so don't apologize, and just thank. We're very grateful for the tournament in the first place, but yeah, let's talk about Starcraft again, Nate Arena.
Yeah. Roddy got his poster framed as well. Just
very nice.
Alright, Nate, so where were we? We're talking about somewhere Banshees, Hellbats.
Yeah, I mean, this is a map where, because of the spawns, like air harass should be strong. He's opening up with that factory and taking the second gas reasonably quickly, so starport play is definitely still on the table. I want to see it. I want to see some aerial harass. I want to see some real damage get pushed in, but at the same time, it's very important that he keeps in mind that Solar has a lot of options. Like, Zerg is so much scarier in Legacy of the Void.
Like, so far I feel that TY hasn't truly, I mean, like, obviously he committed quite a bit to his build in game 2, but I would love to see him be a little bit more risky, you know, instead of making 2 Reapers early on, then throw risky, make 6 Hellions, make 8 Hellions from my part, try to swing in, try to deal that catastrophic damage, because it's pretty safe to say if you let Solar do whatever the hell he wants. Like, this guy knows what he's doing in Legacy of the Void. He's very good. His macro is on point. He understands the strength of units in a certain phase. So I would really say just try to catch him off guard. And I think that might be the best approach for TY.
Yeah, and, you know, he comes in with these lings. He
Gets a worker.
Around.
Can't complain.
Yeah, it's solid. Just the fact that he gets all this economy, like the 3 hatcheries, all this production. And there we go. There's the Roach Horn. So where is Solar going to go with this? It's immediately spotted too.
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
important to know.
I was about to say the same. That one little SCV. 2 Hellions could actually just go in because the Roach one is done, yes, but it's a single queen. It's a very wide open area. Okay, a couple links do hatch, but alright, still worth.
Well, he's going to get a few links for his trouble, certainly, by the looks of it. Maybe not. Solar's control maybe just a little bit too good. TY trying to line up a couple more shots, gets a few more. Doesn't want to get caught in the corner with the metabolic booster. Whoa! Right out of the gate goes Solar, but it's not quite enough, actually, to surround those Hellions. And an opportunity here for TY. Gets a couple of workers, gets a bunch of lings for the 2 Hellions. A good trade, really.
A little bit of mining time lost as well. But he only made these 2 Hellions. That's very important to mention. He's going to follow up with a siege tank. But first, of course, the Banshee marching across the map. Spore Crawler is already going down. I don't think he even spotted the starport, but I guess Solar just... He knows, he expects it, and it's not a crazy guess, but it's still very important that he has those spores, because no spore against Banshee, that's when life gets truly sad for a Zerg player.
I mean, on a map, with map positions like this, like, it just seems like safety spores are the way to go anyway. You know, you're so close by air, there's always a risk, and even if it's just a waterway drops, it's a nice little thing to have.
Yeah, I totally with you. Still, sometimes we see people be greedy, you know, try to save that drone, try to save those 75 minerals, but yeah, you're playing with fire. If you don't make spores, if you don't know what's going on 100% sure, you probably want to make 1 or 2 or 3.
Yeah, TY demonstrating some pretty solid control right now, just picking off a couple of drones here and there.
These build orders, by the way, do, I think, way more favor TY than the last 2 games because he manages to, he got the tanks for defense, but, you know, it's not a Nidus play, so he can go double eBay 3 command center pretty safely, and that's what he's doing, if he ever starts his +1 armor, that is.
This Banshee getting a little bit unlucky with the shots, but it's now finally starting to pick off some units. I mean, control from TY so far has been pretty good. He's actually working away at that extractor, weirdly enough, but the cloak is finally gone, and there are now 3 queens there, so he's going to have to back off, but so far, so good, you know, slowing Solar down a bit, but really by how much? I mean, he got 3 hatcheries so quickly, he's still on 66 drones. Yeah. He hasn't built any units. He's actually building a macro hatchery right now. It looks like he's going to go for that big Roach Ravager play again, but this time with even more of them.
Yeah, but this time he's gonna have to attack with it. Like, obviously TY with his triple CC double eBay. This time he has no ambitions to go for a crazy 2-base. Look at all these benches, by the way. All benches are syncing up. 3 benches together can maybe do some serious work, or just 2 benches, one-shotting drones. I like this a lot from TY. He's really utilizing everything that Nate was talking about early on.
Yeah, thanks, Cap. I was gonna say, I'm like, yeah, this is kind of what I was going at, you know? This is a great map for this sort of Banshee play, especially when you consider that Solar hasn't been playing Spire, right? It's just been Roaches, Ravagers. Yep. Neither of these things can kill Banshees.
Unless you're very, very lucky. Scan goes down again. Oh, TY! Losing a Banshee unnecessarily there, perhaps. And just trying to get a little bit more damage in, but getting a bit too greedy with it. Armory coming up here, so I'm liking the upgrade timings and the 4 additional barracks here for TY. Now we're finally seeing some military units come out from Solar, but it just seems to me that Solar can't really push right now. I mean, he's going to be pushing into 4, 5 tanks. I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult without tunneling claws or something funky like that, without drop. I think this is going to be very hard. Of course, it's still a very wide open area, right? So don't underestimate. And also with the economy that Solar has, he can squeeze out 10, 15, 20 additional roaches in absolutely no time. And then suddenly it does become a little bit more intimidating. Especially with the amount of creep that he's spreading right now in the middle of the map. But in my opinion, TY should be able to hold this. If he doesn't, I'll be a tiny bit surprised.
Well, he's going to have 5 tanks, as you mentioned here. Actually, 4. It looks like he cancelled the tank there.
Marine should stay at home, though.
Yeah, you need to leave now. Thankfully, he can do that. But he now knows the number of Ravagers. It's an abnormally large number of Ravagers. This is going to be maybe a little harder to hold. This third base is going to take some serious pressure.
Yeah, the tanks are in such a good position. And I love the supply depots, by the way. Making it harder for these roaches to get close and comfy with those tanks.
Nice evacuation there, getting the tank out of the Ravager shots here as well, and this is looking like a solid defense so far for TY. He hasn't lost too much at all.
Yep, Queens as well. There's a Banshee still in the main base, being annoying, working on Extractor, but I totally agree with you. I think TY has done pretty much everything right so far.
Yep, I mean, he had to pull his workers, we knew that. I mean, it was a very, very big push. Wouldn't want to really go in there. He's fortunate to avoid the shots here, but TY is starting to get a big enough force to maybe shove this back.
He's got to be so careful. Those corrosive biles will one-shot any marines they come in contact with.
Yeah, he's doing a good job dodging.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see TY playing the way he does right now. This is really a great way for him to get some confidence back in this series and really get back in it, right? This was just awesome. I don't think he could have defended that any better. He dodged the shots, he evacuated SCVs when he had to, had a good setup, good sim city. Now he's even so confident that he's just going to start dropping immediately. Awesome defense. Really,
I like
well
it.
done.
TY finally gets some momentum in this series just with this aggressive play he's able to push now. He's got his third base, like you guys said, situated. And by denying this mining, he's starting to put himself in a good spot. He even gets a free Hydra. And here come the Liberators.
Interesting idea to still go Liberator when your opponent has 9 Ravagers, I have to admit.
Yeah, at least this time he's gonna have way more bio, I think, to scare those Ravagers, push them back. He's also gonna have a couple tanks, maybe to zone them out. I do agree with you, but considering the fact that how everything else has gone so far for him, I think he can get away with it, and I think he can make Solar's life pretty difficult. Solar is still maxed out, by the way, though. I don't know how he's doing that. Like, this guy's macro is pretty ridiculous as well.
Solar is also still a god, despite however well TY may be playing. Let's just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, he's had like 75-ish workers for the longest time, and the harassment hasn't really held Solar's economy back all that much, so I have a feeling that's got a lot to do with it. Big drop coming in, though. Oh, the lair's getting focused down. It's going to fall.
Great
Yeah,
pickup.
it's an awesome snipe. At the same time, though, the tanks are a tiny bit exposed.
Oh!
The Ravager shots going down as well. The counterattack looks pretty devastating.
Liberation zones are deployed. The Liberator just dies right there. And yeah, with so much of the army out of position, Solar takes advantage.
Yeah, and some of these were
my
supply
God.
drops depots as well. So
Yeah.
suddenly TY being put in a world of hurt.
That Juzz drops have got to come behind. They've got to hit him hard. Liberator trying to move into position. 18 workers killed right here. There is the drop behind, but we see Corrosive Bile landing on top of it. TY will be able to clean this up, but he did lose quite a lot in doing it. Look, Solar's army supply is still crazy.
He's still maxed.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
Sweet Jesus.
It's almost like it was interesting, though. Like, the Ravager count's getting quite low, and the Liberator count's getting really, really high. So, yes, the army count is definitely in favor of the Zerg player right now, and TY has taken some economic punishment, but with that many Liberators, I have to wonder if he can turn this around.
Killing the spawning pool is actually very nice as well. Like, this drop harassment is going to go on stop. I love all these Liberators going down, and that makes it harder. These Ravagers are going to have to go up the ramp.
Yes, they are, and that's really not what you want to do, but they're able to break through anyway, actually, and the Liberators are going to die pretty fast. The TY is trying to kite around to make sure he doesn't get hit by the Corrosive Bile. The Liberation Zone's doing a decent job, but the Liberators are now going to not fall. There we go. Now they finally go down. This Liberator has clocked up quite a few kills here, but it is now going to die to Corrosive Bile. I don't know. Maybe TY should have waited a little longer and got the rest of those Liberators out before he went. Going with 7 instead of 3, I think, would have made a huge difference there.
I agree. Yeah,
he's in trouble again.
Liberators are just those units that scale super well, but TY losing that command center, that was brutal.
He's got to be
losing
very
the base.
careful with those medevacts in the middle of the map. It just feels like TY's army right now is just not that big.
Yeah, right
I'm
now.
not sure if I'm a big fan of those Liberators being as exposed as they are.
Somehow you managed to actually miss a stationary Liberator there. TY continuing to get aggressive and finds an army here to do some damage to. The Liberation Zones will hold this back for a little while, but, I mean, it's really just buying time at this point.
He's not moving those Marauders out of those corruptive bio shots. That hurts a little bit.
His army's just sitting in those Liberation Zones.
Both players are kind of not microing all that well right now, both losing a lot of units one way or the other. TY trying
They
to
need an
evacuate
Archon
now.
is what they need.
They absolutely do. Controlling all of this is apparently pretty damn tricky. Anyone thinks Liberators is just fire and forget. That's really not true. Liberation Zone starting to slowly creep forward, and TY with a large Marauder force on the ground to say, oh, you want to get close? All right, we're going to do some damage to you here.
There's a lot of Marauders and a couple of Marines still left, though, but the Zerg army still looks absolutely terrifying to me.
It's a lot of stuff, man, and there's a lot of Roaches coming in behind this as well. The SCVs have been pulled off the line here. I don't know if TY actually has the army to push this back. There's just so much here from Solar.
I think he's going to be able to break him. Solar is just playing way too well this series. This is awesome. He is really just mopping the floor with TY.
3-0. We're going to see a sweep here for Solar? It's possible.
I'm definitely pretty shocked because I really felt that TY shot that first attack down so well. I think those Banshees did pretty damn great for him. Maybe the first drop, like that massive drop in the main base, even though he killed the layer, like let's not forget, that's a mined out base, right? So he's not really hurting the economy on that point. And he lost 4 or 5 tanks and he lost 1 or 2 Liberators as well at home and a couple bio units. Maybe that drop wasn't the best decision, but I really felt that he could do stuff like that after he defended so well early on and just did quite a bit of economic damage with those Banshees. I'm pretty shocked, man. Solar is a beast, and I felt TY played well this game, but it just wasn't enough, I guess.
Doesn't seem to be the case. Wow, that was amusing. We're just looking in the chat right now, and TY's like, lower that crest. I'm like, you what? He's like, sorry, Arena. Like, yeah, I was going to say, I don't think you want to pick your match point map as Lorelak Crest if you can avoid it.
Now, that would be a great way to throw away your only...
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Sandisk ShoutCraft Invitational II. We are ready for what could be our final map here if Solar continues this dominance.
Yeah, Sunkill
It's been brutal.
Rough. Yeah, it's been brutal for TY for sure. I looked at the graphs, like I always look at the graphs at the end of the last game. You know, Nickelback joke. Look at this graph. But you could really see that the drops that TY did, like yeah, killing the layer, like I said, killing the spawning pool, it's nice. But he never truly hurt the economy of Solar. And when Solar attacked TY, he took out a lot of units and he took out a lot of SCVs. So I guess that's the only thing we can kind of fault TY for in the previous game. But I still think he played a good game and it wasn't enough. However, Yorina, our next map, it's not a very good potential drop map, and it's kind of hard to make Roach Ravager's attack work over here, I think. So maybe this is the one, guys.
Yeah, but this is also where he busted out Roach Ravager against Bomber.
Oh man,
I'm still scared.
Can
I'm
he do
still
it?
Scared.
I'm gonna find out. Here we are on Arena. Currently down 3 maps to 0. Needs to bring it back in a big way here in the Red Trunks playing Terran. It is Casey Rolster TY versus his opponent to the west position. The Blue Trunks playing Zerg, looking dominant right now. Samsung Galaxy Solar. We are by no means seeing the same matchup that we saw between TY and Rogue in the round of 8. I mean, TY looked dominant in that matchup, but Solar seems to understand this match way, way better, and TY is kind of struggling to figure things out. There was something interesting on Twitter that I read from Igers that said, "Oi, TY, stop trying to use Liberators against Ravagers." A fair point, really.
Yeah, they haven't been extremely successful so far in these games. I love seeing the Liberators because they're new, exciting, and fresh, and whenever they do a lot of damage, it's kind of cool. But in this series and against the way that Solar is playing, it's just really not working.
It doesn't. It just doesn't seem to work whatsoever. It seems like a more tank-heavy playstyle would be better. You know, we saw a lot of success from TY when he was holding a siege tank line at the third base, and he literally just picked up the tank and moved it out of the way of the corrosive bile. That seemed like it worked really well.
Yeah, I also think it's worth noting that we're really seeing a totally different approach to this matchup from Solar than we saw at Rogue, because those other Zerg play that we saw in this tournament largely revolved around very standard Heart of the Swarm style, Ling, Baneling, Muta, getting wrecked by Liberators, etc., etc. But Solar is really recognizing that he's like, hey man, I know Marauders aren't as good versus Roaches. You're kind of playing around with all these styles. I think Roach Ravager is really strong, and you know, it's super popular from the Terran players that I've spoken to. Igaz told me this is an incredibly popular style that's super strong. I was talking to BCQD as well, who's on top of the European ladders. He says like most of the good Zerg players bust this out a lot, and from what they were telling me as well, this is something that Solar's been doing a lot, even towards the end of the beta, and it was during that period of time where he started to have tremendous success against Terrans. It's a very powerful way to play the game right now.
Yep, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. TY's going to have to figure something out. I mean, some people have suggested mech, but you got to bear in mind, mech is a lot weaker now. You know, they've divided the ship weapons from the vehicle weapons again. Yeah. So that really
the air transition. Help. Air transitions are so good again for Zerg because you bust out a bunch of corruptors, and then Vikings were actually never really good in straight up battles against them. So you end up in this position where they just wreck you because you don't have those upgrades. Not to say that having the upgrades combined was necessarily balanced, because we saw a lot of rough mech games in Heart of the Swarm, but yeah, it's just one of those things that regardless of your opinion on it, lacking those upgrades being combined makes those air switches so much more difficult for Terrans to react to.
Well, what I do really like so far in this series from Solar, though, is that, of course, these games look very different than the games that TY had against Rogue, but he's the one who's forcing that, right? He's like, I'm not going to give you the freedom, I'm not going to give you the standard engagement, we're not going to play HUDs with, like, a little bit of legacy here and there. Like, he is playing a completely different game, and that, I think, makes it so much harder for TY to really figure out, like, what is the best way of approaching this guy. And you know, if a lot of the other Terrans don't know it, it's hard to imagine that TY can suddenly figure it out on the spot, right?
What do you think about this third command center coming out of TY right here? Nice and early, and responded to with a third hatchery here by Solar.
Honestly, I'm just concerned because all I'm thinking about right now is, will that third command center pay off in time before the Ravagers hit his base?
I should say, just float it to the gold if he wants to play Roach Ravager.
Yeah, that'd be sick, actually. Now that you say that, I'm like, yeah. I mean, you can drop bases a lot more easily in this game with the Overlords, but I still would wager that that'd probably be safer.
Hello.
What is he researching? He's researching speed.
High-capacity fuel tanks?
So that's the medevac. It makes medevac boost last longer.
We haven't actually seen this entire tournament. I mean, do you think this is a fake-out for potential Banshee Cloak?
That's what I thought, but...
Look at the amount of damage this Hellion run-by's done, though. 10 drones? I mean, this is what you were suggesting that he'd do earlier. He's actually got the economic lead, maybe for the first time in this series.
This is really nice, and the thing is, I hope he doesn't cancel this, because I think this upgrade's really cool. this is really going to allow him to do the harassment so much more easily because it extends that boost time of the medevacs by a significant little chunk. So this is something that's going to really allow him to continue to put on a lot of pressure across the map.
I love
That's
it.
really sick. That is really sick, and I really love that he went for 4 Hellions this time. You know, for the first time, like he saw the 2 Hellions, they had a lot of potential, the runes of Sarens, and I think that's why he's like, you know what? If you're gonna make those roaches so late, if you're gonna have 1 queen per base, I'm gonna try my luck with 4 Hellions, and you know, killing 9 drones, I think is a very decent start to say the least.
Did the trick. This Banshee isn't getting too much done, unfortunately, right now. It's actually going to die as well, so it's not going to help against this defense. And Solar's now running across the map with 5 roaches, but there is a Banshee in defensive position that should be able to deal with that quite nicely.
Solar is playing very different as well, though. Like, he's not making the same amount of roaches and.
Well, we're seeing a Spire
so
coming
far.
out here
Yeah,
from Solar, which is completely different.
So it's gonna be hard to for TY. I don't think he spotted it yet.
No,
he definitely didn't see it. So I think it's gonna be kind of hard. Like you're not really expecting Mutalisk, right? After not facing Mutas in the 3 previous games.
Yeah, I think this is a good way to mix it up, right? Because he's really reacting to the way that Solar has been abusing him all series long with the Ravagers, playing more heavy on that tank, the Banshee opening, obviously. And now, this is a scenario where the Mutas could blindside him. You kind of want the Banshee to be out on the map when they finish, so that you actually want the Banshee to die to the Mutas, just so that you know before they're in your base, and you can start the turrets.
Yeah, he's actually starting a turret already in his main mineral line.
Smart boy.
It's a good timing to do it. Like I think he realizes, look, I've got a blind here. Your big roach push hasn't come, so maybe there's something else on the way. I should just play it a little bit safe here. I'm a bit worried about his marine count being a little bit low. He's starting to get that going, but he's actually preparing against what appears to be roaches right now, as opposed to Mutalisk.
Yeah, I think he's going to be ready for both. Of course, without Stim, it's always kind of hard to have enough or have Marines in the right position against Mutalisk, but we're looking at 6, 7, 8 Mutalisk. The Banshee, by the way, is...
Yeah, let's look at these
it.
medevacs too. Look how much longer that medevac boost lasts as well. You can kind of get an idea.
Oh my god!
And that's a big deal for the defense here, because
gross.
TY was able to respond very fast to that.
Yeah, it's really nice to have that.
That's a cool little upgrade.
Cool upgrade.
And consider that, actually, you know what I'm thinking about now? The cooldown, it's just like in Heart of the Swarm. The cooldown for the next time that you can use the ability starts while the ability is being used. So with the extended time, you can actually, by the time your medevac boost ends, you can go into your next boost that much faster as well.
How did we not see this all tournament long?
I have no idea. Nobody decided to go for it.
Esports history, tasteless!
What's kind of surprising is that he's not just building more medevacs. You know, with that advantage and with the number of tanks he's got, you think, right, let's just move our entire army of medevacs all the time. Nothing's going to work against that. But he's actually building Liberators again.
I'm clicking on the medevacs and just looking at that the Ignite Afterburner's ability, and it comes off of cooldown almost immediately after the boost ends.
Yeah,
so
there's only a 5-second gap between the two, which is absolutely huge.
Yeah, this ability's awesome. I want to get this more.
Yeah, this seems kind of scary. You know, if you've got the drop control, not only does that let you be more aggressive, it lets you be more defensive as well. You know, you've got so much more control over the battlefield. You can zip around wherever you need to be. It seems like Terran with that upgrade plus the movable tanks is maybe the most mobile army in the game right now.
And TY's army actually looks strong as well, right? For one of the first times. He has an upgrade advantage too. I really kind of like where this is going for him. Mutas did manage to pick off a tech lab, but that's not really the end of the world for him, as these Liberators should take care of these Mutas, especially with 2 Marines helping out.
Yeah,
I still think it's really scary to attack, though, into this because, you know, the bio trades cost effectively usually against roach compositions, but Solar is maxed out, so his army doesn't get too much stronger, whereas every moment that TY finishes another production wave, his army gets that much more powerful.
Well, TY just learned a lesson that 2 Liberators don't really kill 5 or 6 Mutas. I mean, you need a critical mass of Liberators, and then they devastate a Muta count.
The magic number is like 4 or 5 Liberators can kill
is.
like any number of air units, basically, if they're clumped up.
Yeah, but 2 is not really all that useful. TY just kind of wandering past here right now. He has a bit of a tank setup. Here we go. TY not actually set up at all to deal with this. That was a bit of a slip up. Now moving back to a better defensive position.
I mean, he really needs those units. He has 16 bio units on the right top side of the map right now, but he kind of needs them at home. Someone needs to stabilize. I think maybe eventually he will, but he needs to start using those units on the top side of the map.
Yeah, he's got to do something with them. Either kill a base, or now he goes to attack here. He's going to have to bank on his units at home doing what he needs to do. And with that number of medevacs, he should be able to move those tanks around and not lose them. Hopefully, he loses them anyway. Uncharacteristic slip from TY. Yeah, is he dead here? He's taking a lot of damage. He did kill
I think he's dead.
Base of Solar, but...
No, I think he's gonna.
I think he'll clean this up. He will clean this up. The question is, how much damage will he take doing it?
Yeah, it's almost time to ask the famous caster question, Roddy. At what cost?
Yeah.
At what cost? Well, he still has those 2 medevacs on the right top side. He killed the 4th base. And losing the tanks, he definitely lost 1 or 2 tanks more than I think he should have lost. But as long as he babysits those medevacs and those units a little bit, I think it's going to be hard for Solar to commit to another attack. Don't you guys think so? Because the moment he does, he opens himself up for a lot of counter-attack possibilities.
TY needs to keep this mobility advantage in his favor. He's about to have an upgrade lead as well. He needs to keep using this medevac boost ability. It's almost like he didn't realize he still had it. He's got so much mobility, he can strike anywhere on the map and also move back quickly for defense and keep Solar on his back foot. I want to see that from TY.
I mean, he has 2 upgrades. Solar has decided enough is enough. I'm gonna leave a couple of roaches behind in dealing with these drops. The rest is running across the map once again, and TY is down 30 for the army supply, but I think if he brings everything home at the right time, I think he might be able to keep this base alive. It's gonna get tricky. 2 liberators are almost out, but he needs those liberation zones ASAP.
Yeah, he needs the tanks in good position as well. There's only 1 right out right now. There's going to be a second one shortly. TY needs to take the absolute optimal engagement in order to drive this back. Tank is doing a pretty good job at the back here. However, Solar is starting to force his way forward. The 2 liberators are now in the mix. There aren't all that many Ravagers. They're stacked on top of each other, though. Liberation zones are down! Liberation zones are down!
He's starting to make some ground here against this army. It's actually starting to get pretty good. He's cleaned up most of the roach fodder, so gets almost all of the Ravagers that are trying to escape. Keep in mind, of course, that 4th base is done again. He really needs to move that. Oh, he's just going to float to the gold. Yeah, buddy.
To the gold. Here we go. He's going to give that a shot. There's already an Overlord looking there, but, I mean, there's nothing that can really attack the gold base right now unless he uses just an Overlord drop to do it. TY's still in this, but you've got to bear in mind just how far behind he is. He needs to secure that gold base. He needs to mine the hell out of it and not get too crazy.
I really don't think it's that bad. That upgrade advantage, I think it really showed in that previous fight, right? 2-2 bio against 1-1 Roach Ravager.
Oh,
that
yeah.
stuff really adds up. And
when you're that Marauder heavy, definitely.
Yeah.
This is one of those scenarios.
So much better.
Yeah, the upgrade advantages. This is one of those scenarios where that Marauder attack change is actually a big deal.
Alright, the gold base is now being mined, so there's a couple of ways, of course, that TY could be attacked here, either by an Overlord drop or a Nidus Worm, or of course a Spire, but I have to wonder if he'll try to commit there. He's doing it, by the way, too. He has an Overlord with 4 roaches making its way towards that gold. Very slowly. He didn't get the speed upgrade. That's going to get intercepted, I imagine. Well, you never know. Oh, another push comes in. TY trying to harass the 4th base here, trying to pull Solar apart with his superior mobility. I'm loving this right now from TY.
I'm loving it, but it was so risky as well, because he picked up more medevacs, and like Solar is maxed out, so obviously he wants to fight.
Oh, that drop!
To attack as
the
well.
4 medevacs, he sees the Overlord that's going to try to drop him, so he can actually mop this up and defend his gold base at the same time. Yeah, try to fly away, buddy.
No way.
About that?
But this is Solar's cue to just go for it, I'm sure of that, because he sees how many units are out of position, and does TY have enough at home?
TY's got to get... TY's actually attacking right now instead of moving in for the defense. I don't know if that is a good idea at all, and Solar is trying to overwhelm the defenses, and looks like he might be able to do a pretty good job of that. In the meantime, TY, these units in the main base are doing nothing. He's trying to focus on fighting this, and there's so much here from Solar. The tanks are in a decent position, but I really think he should come back here.
Yeah, he's playing with fire, but I think he's doing a pretty decent job, mostly because Solar is not paying attention, and he's hitting his own units all the time.
Yeah, and you know those Ravagers are so much weaker than the Roaches when it comes to actually taking those shots.
Can he do it?
He's actually managing to hold, like TY's actually holding.
The tank is still there!
Wow.
GG, TY claws it back. What a game from our Terran player. Not going down without a fight. Man, we saw just some incredible gumption there, I think, from TY. Just determination to stay in this.
That was a really awesome game to watch. Like, through and through, those engagements especially were just, you know, just the constant, the back and forth movement of the bile to dodge the corrosive biles. That was That was just really awesome. Like, if you're just going through and looking at any of those engagements, it was nonstop 100% micro on both sides to land and dodge those shots, and that was really just great. TY, after the way that game started, boy oh boy did he earn that.
Yeah, awesome comeback for sure. But at a certain point, I do think he's really playing with fire. When you have 135, 140 supply against a max out Zerg and you start dropping, you left so little behind. And I truly think that Solar did more harm than good with his corrosive bio attacks in that final engagement.
Yeah, he actually ran into them.
Yeah, like not once, but I think 3 times he ran into his own corrosive bio shots because he's probably like microing or macroing stuff at home. So completely understandable, but I really think that TY dodged the bullet there, but still a great game.
Yep, couldn't agree more. Going to take a quick break and then we come back, folks. The series is on. Level at Crest, however, is the place to be. Could be an advantage for Solo. We'll find out after the break. Why, considering the awful natural setup here, can he pull it out?
It's gonna be tough, man. This series, like, this could be the turning point where we see that TY has found a way to handle that Roach Ravager play that basically he's been getting, you know, tracked by all series long. Like, personally, that's what I want to. I want to see him just like turn this into the most epic comeback ever. Go to Game 7, and at that point, I really won't care who wins because it will have just been like, you know, straight out of a movie. But I'm just glad that he's starting to get some sort of feel for what he could do against this. And I'm also glad that I just realized how almost OP that medevac booster upgrade is as well.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it was super awesome to watch for sure. I do think it's gonna be a lot harder on this map, you know, like the last map, Urena, I think is pretty decent map to defend against everything that TY had to defend against. Here, I think it's basically gonna be a tiny bit more wide open. Also dropping, you know, to make your way across the map with a medevac, it's gonna take a little bit longer. So I think his build was awesome, and I think the execution was pretty damn good too. But it's gonna have to be even better, I think, to make it work on this map.
Yeah, it looked a bit ropey in places. Like, he wasn't taking full advantage of that boost. It's almost like he hasn't really practiced with it before, and he just kind of pulled it out as a kind of Hail Mary, and it turned out to be very good, but I think he could have taken way better advantage of it. He could have microed his drops better. If he's able to do that again, then suddenly Solar might have a lot more trouble dealing with the sheer harassment and speed of TY. Let's see if that's the case. To the northwest position in the Red Trunks, playing Terran, the comeback begins for KT Rolster's TY. Versus his opponent to the southwest position in the Blue Trunks, playing Zerg, Samsung Galaxy Solar.
How much is that upgrade, Nate? How much does it cost? Do you know?
I think it's like 150 or 100. I'm actually not sure. I've never gotten it before because it seems that
good. It seems like a phenomenal upgrade, especially like on large maps, and it just makes drops more of an option as well. Because how many times haven't we seen games that kind of stall out because dropping just doesn't seem worth it, you know, because the mutas will always intercept. I think late game, it doesn't really matter how many bases either player is on. If you have that upgrade, I think dropping is always a viable solution. And I love it, man. I think it's going to create much more dynamic gameplay.
Yeah, I agree. The thing was, I just didn't realize that it doesn't affect the cooldown of the ability. Like, the fact that there's almost no cooldown when you have that upgrade is actually the part that really blows my mind, to be honest.
Yeah, it really is. It's something that actually I recall reading on the Starcraft Reddit when it was first introduced. People like, this is broken OP. And then after a day, of course, nobody mentioned it again because nobody really had ever tried it. And now we're actually seeing it at a pro level. I think there's a lot of really crazy possibilities with it.
I just remember that the medevacs had the crazy blue heal as well, you know, like the super heal.
I would give anything to have that
I want
blue
that.
heal
I
back.
want to see that, yeah.
David Kim, I know you're watching. Please, Bible Thump.
Give him some nitro. Give him some NOS, man. It's the way to go.
Those were actually so fun because you'd have like 8 lings fully surrounding a marine and just be like, nope, can't kill me.
Yeah. Oh man, that bonus heal was just ridiculous. We're seeing double command center again here from TY, but a Roach Warren coming down. TY has not. Oh, he hasn't seen it. This is not good.
And that's a very, very, very early Roach Warren. That's not the safety Roach Warren to deal with a couple
It's not the safety Roach Warren TM.
Solar's really got to get up there and find that. I mean, he knows there's no third base. He's got to be being a bit suspicious right now. He's got to be thinking, what are you doing? Why exactly don't you have a third base yet? Are you planning anything? You're going to just try and end this early? I mean, when you're 2 maps up like this, you have loads of possibilities for aggressive play.
Well, we already expected a little bit of dirty play. In 10 seconds, by the way, speed is ready. I would almost say just chase those Reapers right now, because if he's able to pick those off, TY has absolutely no eyes on the map anymore. He's gonna sacrifice 1 Reaper into the main base. He's done that before. Link's speed is ready though, so...
I wonder if he's just a little bit scared of chasing them down due to grenades. I think, you know, with good micro grenades, it's possible to kill those.
He's going into Hellions too,
Yeah.
and he's just started a starport. Oh no, 3 command centers, rip.
Just don't tell me that he's gonna drop 2 eBays now as well, because then I will actually just leave. Oh no, did he just evacuate all the SCVs? Yeah, he did, right?
Okay.
Does TY realize what's happening here?
There's that drop as well.
Drop. That's so cute. He's dropping links into the main base. That's awesome.
It's gonna distract him while the roaches push the front. This is brilliant.
We do have Hellions and a Reaper here. This drop has not been spotted as of yet, and that is a Slow-Valor drop right into that mineral line. He's going to have to go and deal with it, but here come the Roaches and the Ravagers. TY is going to have to move this natural, I think.
Man, I really feel like Solar's just going to bop him with this. I don't know what he's going to do. That tank isn't ready yet, and the bunker's not done.
No, and the supply depots are going to go down as well. The bunker takes a huge amount of damage. There's so little to actually stop this, and TY, it looks like, completely misread this game, and this might be it for him.
Yeah, I just didn't see it coming at all. He has 1 tank out right now. If he somehow survives, he's going to be in an okay position because he has 3 CCs, but I don't see how he's supposed to survive. He needs to keep his tank alive. He needs to repair it. He doesn't.
Oh no, I think this is going to be it for TY, I'm afraid. Solo went for the aggressive play. TY, despite having 2 Reapers, didn't scout the early Roach Warren, and that is game. GG, ladies and gentlemen. And your Sandisk ShoutCraft Invitational II champion is Solar, walking away with $10,000.
This man has been on a roll lately, just a very successful year overall for him, and he's been hyped as one of the best Zergs in Legacy of the Void Beta. Well, the game is post-release now, and it seems like not a whole lot has changed, as Solar did look superior to everybody else in this tournament.
He did look really good, there's no doubt about that, and TY putting up a brave comeback, but I don't know, that last game, sort of blind 3cc, not seeing the Roach Warren, it just seemed overly risky.
Yeah, not getting that scouting information really killed him. And then I also have to give credit to Solar for just creating chaos with that Ling drop in the back.
Yeah.
Like, that's never supposed to be something by itself that's going to win you the game. But you're distracting him long enough that he's not really focused on, oh, I need to make sure I get another bunker or 2. Or cancel this bunker, put one further back where the Ravagers won't hit it as easily. Like, he just created chaos. And I think it was perfectly executed push.
Yep, it really was. There's no doubt about that. And Solar absolutely deserves the $10,000 prize money from the Sandisk ShoutCraft Invitational II. Big thanks to everybody for tuning in today. There will be, of course, a rebroadcast right after this if you missed any of it, and VODs are available on youtube.com/TotalBiscuit, spoiler-free. Thanks to everybody involved. First, of course, big thanks to Nathanius and Rotterdam for casting today.
Thank you.
Oh,
I'm just glad.
My pleasure.
I'm just glad I made it on time, Joe.
The 5 a.m. starts, man. That is hardcore. Big thanks to Olivia for adminning this tournament, Chris for providing graphic design, and of course to Sandisk Extreme Pro SSD for providing all the prize pool today. Bear in mind, of course, there's a little bit more prize money to award. At the end of this broadcast, there will be a poll available in the Day 3 Sandisk ShoutCraft Invitational live report thread on Team Liquid. You will be able to vote for who you think deserves a little extra.
Make sure and go ahead and do that. I saw Parting got $420 on day 1. I found it very fitting for Parting.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely appropriate for Parting. Absolutely, he was definitely rewarded fairly. But there you go, folks. That has been the first major Legacy of the Void tournament. We saw some interesting stuff. I think we saw a lot of promise in this expansion, as well as a lot of fine-tuning that is needed, both maybe from Blizzard and, of course, from the players to figure this out. There are some interesting ideas, some nascent builds that we may see developed over the next few months, and I'm looking forward to it.
For sure, I really enjoyed it. So of course, thank you very much for inviting me and Nate, and big shout out to all the viewers. And I think we also saw that some of our favorite players in the world still need a little bit of time to work on this expansion. But
still need a little bit of work, no doubt.
Yeah, I think it was great, and I'm very happy that I was part of it. Great experience.
It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Big thanks to everybody, of course, and thanks to our French casting team at O-Gaming, and thanks to our Korean caster, Soda, for providing us with the Korean stream today. Ladies and gentlemen, my name has been TotalBiscuit. Thank you for watching the Sandisk ShoutCraft Invitational II. The rerun will begin shortly if you missed any of it, and check out youtube.com/TotalBiscuit for spoiler-free VODs of Day 1. Day 2s will be coming shortly. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.